Phew is what I say. My goodness, we made hard work of that, didn't we? But Aston Villa got the job done. Middlesbrough nil, Aston Villa won for the first time in 40 million years. No, 65 million years since dinosaurs walked the earth. Aston Villa have won an FA Cup game. I had forgotten what that feeling was like, to be honest with you. It's been a very, very long time. 7 losses in a row. Our first win, I think, since 2016. Wow. So finally, Professor Unai is all about ending curses, and the man has ended yet another curse. Um, Middlesbrough away. Now, firstly, that is a very tough away day. Middlesbrough started the season very poorly. They lost a lot of their key loan players from last season: Cameron Archer, Aaron Ramsey, Akpom going to Ajax as well. So Middlesbrough had to adapt. And at the start of the season, they struggled. But the thing is, Middlesbrough have started to get their act together quite a bit recently, even though they have so many injuries and a few players at AFCON as well. So fair play to Middlesbrough, I think, for how they set up. And I think it was indicative of the fact that Michael Carrick is a manager that we should take seriously and somebody that is definitely worth watching. I thought Middlesbrough were intelligently set up. 5-2-3, basically, clog up the middle, leave Kamara and Dendoncker in the middle, just completely a bit isolated when they're on the ball, or a bit almost as if like they're not an option for when our centre backs have the ball to pass into. So we're always going out wide, but then they have the cover sort of back to make sure that we can't break through. And to be honest, it worked well with them. And then also, what I guess they would hope is that eventually they would win the ball back, and one of those fullbacks can push forward, invert into a winger, and then whip a ball in. And it nearly happened in the first half for them, but not quite. But Aston Villa, ultimately, we were incredibly dominant, particularly in the first half. We were very, very dominant, and it is very complimentary to us, I think, as a team, that other teams now look at Villa and go, look, they're just a better football team. We have to approach this game intelligently. We have to sit deep, low block, and then try and hit them on the break. Sheffield United did that. Nottingham Forest did that. A few other teams are going to start doing that to us now. Middlesbrough have just done it. Like I say, they were very intelligently set up, well coached. They're a good side, and I think, who knows what they can do against Chelsea in the AFL Cup semi-final. But if they can continue to perform a bit like that, if they can get their players back from injury, maybe they'll go on a push towards the playoffs. And maybe this time, they lost in the playoffs last season. Maybe this time they can make good of it and get into the Premier League. But with Villa, I think what you can say is that with those low blocks, we do tend to have at times look a bit ponderous. Now, okay, in fairness, our centre midfield was Kamara, who I thought was man of the match. Absolutely fantastic. He bossed it. Even though that centre was so clogged, he won absolutely everything. Amazing performance. But in that centre there, you got Dendoncker and Kamara. You don't have a creative force like a Douglas Luiz. So we're not going to have the most creativity in the centre when Luiz isn't there, or Tielemans. He's not there either. But what also I think happened is that it reminded me a little bit of Forest and a little bit of Sheffield United, where we kind of had the ball, but sirens going on out there, going to find some Birmingham City fans, go and arrest those guys, take them out. Don't need them on our streets. But what would happen is that sometimes we'd get the ball, get forward, and then it'd be to a winger, and then they'd think, right, I'll cut back, and I'll pass it into the centre, and there wasn't really it was all a bit slow paced, wasn't it? There wasn't just quite that moment where you thought, have a shot from distance, or just at one moment, just whip it in. Or, we did cross it in a couple of times. But sometimes I think our interchanges between the players just weren't quite quick enough. And notably in the second half, Villa should have had a penalty when Alex Moreno was brought down. If VAR was there, it may well have been given. But that came about from a quick interchange between Moreno and Ramsey. And on the left-hand side, particularly in the second half, we looked more threatening, I thought. I thought we looked quite good down there. Moreno played well, I thought. Ramsey's still getting back to full pace. Once he gets his goal, I think he'll be absolutely fine. Just a few more games and he's going to be back to where he was. But Moreno's looking good already. And I think but that moment came back from a quick interchange. And there was a lot in the first half where we were like, come on, let's get a bit quicker here. Come on, we can, it's great to be a possession-based team. I absolutely love it. I love that Villa are a technical side, but it just felt at times like a little bit ponderous. Maybe that's just due to the lack of a Watkins or Luiz. And also, let's be honest, a Buendia, a player of his profile, just, low centre of gravity, maybe can just find a little gap there, turn and weave a little pass in, quick interchanges. That's how he likes to play. We don't really have a player who does that so well at the moment. Moreno's probably as close as we have to it, actually. So that's definitely one to think about. And if I'm honest, the thing it reminds me of a little bit sometimes is Spain in recent, the Spanish international team in recent tournaments, the World Cup and the Euros. Teams always play against them now where they just sit deep and try and hit them on the break. And Spain at times, whilst they always tend to have about 80% of possession, quite often they don't score. And quite often they just look a bit ponderous and don't quite break through. And I think Villa need to avoid falling into that trap a little bit when we play these low block sides. It's part of our evolution. So let's not get critical here. All it is, Emery's been there a year now. Now teams are starting to adapt to Aston Villa. They're accepting that we are a brilliantly coached side with some top players. And they're thinking, right, we have to respect Villa more so than we ever did before. And we're going to have to sit deep. And I think what Villa need to do, hopefully, is adapt to this and maybe involve signing players who are of the profile that can maybe break a low block a bit better. But also just the players we currently have working a bit better within that. And Emery himself and his coach is looking at it and going, right, how is it that we can prevent this from becoming a bit of an issue for us? Because it's going to cost us points as the season develops if teams keep doing this to us and we don't quite find a way through. But, sometimes it is just take a shot from distance. And guess what? Matty Cash did it. He gambled, took a deflection and a wicked curve, a Roberto Carlos style curve into the bottom corner. Great stuff. There you go. Sometimes it's just doing that. I think Cash had another shot from distance that was almost winning. Durand had a shot in the first half from distance. Sometimes shots from distance can look a little bit like desperation, but sometimes as well, just hit it and see what happens. Now, in fairness, I think it probably sounds like I've been a little bit critical, a bit hypercritical of Villa. I think we played. I mean, I thought we played really well. Actually, we were ponderous in the first half, but at times our football was so good, and the dominance we showed was great. We looked obviously like the stronger side, and to be honest, it could have been 3 goals for us, 4 goals. So, Consa hitting the post with his header, Moreno at the back post with that volley, Zaniolo with that whipped ball from distance, Duran with a couple of efforts. We did have the chances. We had a million corners. McGinn shot from distance, another shot from distance, whipped into the top corner, and a great save from the Middlesbrough keeper. So, full respect to Middlesbrough, I think, with how they played. It was very intelligently coached from Michael Carrick and Jonathan Woodgate, Aaron Danciola as well, of course, formerly of Aston Villa. And I think they're a good side. And I'm interested to see how they develop this season because, as I say, they started badly. They got, having lost a lot of their key players, they've developed. They're getting better. They did lose to Coventry last week, but again, they've got a lot of injured players. I wish them all the best against Chelsea, and I hope they go and beat them in the AFL Cup. Go on, Middlesbrough. Make it to the final, lads. But I think with Villa, like I say, I think it's just part of the development with these low blocks. Middlesbrough set up well, 5-2-3. It's just, we've got Sheffield United, for instance, at the start of February, away at Bramall Lane. I already know what they're going to set up like, and I already know how that game is going to go. So, like I say, sometimes Villa, let's just gamble a bit. Let's just hit that ball from distance. And who knows, maybe it'll take a deflection like it did today and go in. And at times also, let's just quicker interchanges. Because when we had those quick interchanges between Moreno and Ramsey, we should have had a penalty. So, but look, we didn't have our first 11 out today. So there were a couple of technical players missing. And when we got the winner, it came from a corner that was the result of a pass from deep from Douglas Luiz. Wonderful ball along the floor. Bypassed all of Middlesbrough's players, straight into Diaby's feet. He turned. Great work from Diaby to come deep, take it, turns, and it turns into a corner eventually. What do you know? Goal. So, fair play, Aston Villa. Finally, we've won a third-round game. Thank the gods for that. And we continue our momentum. Boubacar Kamara showed exactly what we missed in those 3 games he was suspended for. He was fantastic. And Ezri Konsa. Hello? Southgate? Are you there? Like, what? Come on, mate. Like, this man is a sensational defender, a Rolls Royce of a defender who you simply can't get past. His movement's always really good. On the ball, he's massively underrated these days. How the hell is this guy not playing for England? He's unbelievable. But he goes under the radar. Well, that's what Aston Villa are, aren't we? Under the radar FC. Oh, I hope it doesn't continue forever because I want people to keep going, look at Aston Villa winning trophies, top of the league and all that. But look, we won. Yes. Up the mighty Villa. Please like and subscribe. Please comment below with your thoughts on the game. Up the mighty Villa. And well done, Matty Cash.